Hey guys, it's Scott with Scotty B Cards, and in this video I want to talk about a set that is extremely undervalued. Topps Finest. We all have heard of it. We've maybe even collected some of the cards. We might have some of the Topps Finest rookie cards or super refractors in our own PC. But Topps Finest has been extremely underappreciated for an extremely long time. I want to dive into Topps Finest, what makes it special, and why I personally think it's the most underrated set in all of sports cards. Before we jump into it, if you are a sports card, trading card, baseball card fan, make sure that subscribe button so you don't miss any of these type of videos. I post 2 to 3 times every single week exclusively about baseball cards. So let's just jump into Topps Finest. Look how beautiful all of these cards are. In my opinion, Topps Finest has always been a little bit on the edge. They always have created new things, and we'll talk about the history of Topps Finest, the impact and legacy it's had on the entire sports card market and on sports cards in general. But first, I just wanted to show some of the cards and show how beautiful the refractors and the designs can be. There's very good years of Topps Finest designs and very bad years of Topps Finest designs. But let's jump into it. This is the history of Topps Finest. Topps Finest was introduced in 1993 for Topps Finest Baseball. They did actually release it in 1992, technically, in the playoffs for football, but it was a really dud of a set. No one cared about it, so that's why I don't hear about it too often. But 1993 Topps Finest Baseball was a huge success. It was the first chromium set ever, so it was the first time we had chromium cards. Now we've seen the chrominization, if that's even a word, of every single type of product. Allen & Ginter, Stadium Club, yada yada yada. Every single card has to have a chrome variant, and Topps Finest technically started that entire movement, which is pretty huge for the hobby. It is also the first set with refractors in it. Refractors, prisms, whatever you want to call them. It was all started because of Topps Finest as an insert of a variation of the base card. It is probably one of the biggest advances in sports cards ever. You know, can you imagine nowadays if we didn't have refractors, where the hobby would be? I have a gold refractor Bryce Harper numbered to 50, which is so cool as a rookie card. But if it was just a base and there were only base, it's just kind of not as exciting. So because of Topps Finest, we actually have refractors. It is one of the very first super premium sets at the time. Topps Finest is exactly what it was. It was the finest set that Topps offered. There was no Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome was introduced in 1996 as a different set to the base flagship Topps rookie cards. But Topps Finest was the chromium set that you wanted to target if you wanted high-end rookie cards, vet parallels. All these things started because of this set. It's also the third longest tenured product that Topps produces that I could personally find. I say the third longest tenured non-flagship. It should be the second longest tenured non-flagship. You have base flagship and you have Stadium Club. Both of those sets have been released every single year since before Topps Finest, but then we have Topps Finest as the next set. In 1993, it was introduced. We've had a Topps Finest every single year since 1993 all the way until 2022. It's slated to have another release, and it's not going to stop anytime soon as it is a staple in the hobby. So again, I just want to show this photo and just say it is a big part of the hobby, but the last time you've heard about Topps Finest was a long time ago, I'm assuming. We don't talk about it much, and we're going to discuss why a little bit later in this video, but I just want to say I personally think Topps Finest deserves a comeback. I have no way of doing this, and so I can only make a YouTube video about it for fun, but the point remains that it is so underappreciated compared to everything else we have in the modern hobby. Let's discuss some of the reasons why Topps Finest is so underappreciated. It's a hobby-only product. We've seen that with Bowman's Best, we've seen that with Topps Finest, Ben Baller, Topps Chrome, all these different sets. Hobby-only products are very good because they keep their print runs very low, and they keep them more in the vein of a premium set product. You have Topps Chrome. Topps Chrome is the favorite in the hobby currently, and because it is a favorite, we will have retail products, multiple retail formats, multiple retail waves where we get lots of Topps Chrome. It might not feel like it in the last few years if you're like me and can't find product on shelves, but there's a lot of it made, even for retail and for hobby. And because of that, the print runs on Topps Chrome is so much higher, while the print runs on Topps Finest are significantly lower. Because it is a hobby-only product, I'm able to calculate the print runs, which I'll show you in a minute and explain how many of each card exist, but significantly lower print runs is good because it makes them more desirable. If you have like a player like Mike Trout, I have a Mike Trout Topps Finest refractor up here, but his base card, let's say there's 15,000 base cards compared to, let's say, he had a Topps Chrome rookie. He doesn't, but if you had a Topps Chrome rookie and regular Topps Chrome, there's probably going to be around 100,000, maybe 50 to 100,000. So what, 10, 20% of what the print run would have been, for example. And because of that, I think Topps Finest should have another look from collectors as a good set to collect. has a very unique design. This is a double-edged sword because some people love the design, some people think the design is stupid. And because of that, it kind of goes under the radar. Other years, like I've already said, are a lot better. You know, there's a very big variance in these cards. They change year over year very quickly in what they look like, but a lot of the designs are pure hits. Like I showed in the video earlier, I showed all the cards together. They look really nice. There are no paper versions. This is another reason why Stadium Club Chrome, Allen and Ginter Chrome, Topps Chrome, all of these sets are a little bit undervalued, or they undervalue the paper cards. It's just because there's two versions. You can get the paper and you can get the chrome, and it's kind of confusing. Back in the 1990s, people actually wanted Topps Finest because there was no paper version. People really didn't care about Topps Chrome all that much, simply because they could get the paper card, which they already had. Why would they want a chromium version of that card? It kind of was cannibalizing itself a little bit because there were multiple versions and multiple formats. It's a very low refractor parallel. Pre-2021, that is, and I'll explain later in the video. You only had red refractors, orange refractors, gold refractors, green refractors, blue refractors. You know, like that type of situation, and a super refractor. It was always, you can count it on one, maybe two hands at most, how many refractors were in a set. Nowadays, with flagship, you have to have 5 sets of hands to count how many parallels there are. And there were no alternative releases. I discussed this a little bit, but I want to discuss Topps Chrome one more time. This is not a bash Topps Chrome situation. I just want to compare Topps Finest to Topps Chrome to show how it should have value. But you have Topps Chrome, you have Topps Chrome Sapphire, you have Topps Chrome Ben Baller, you have Topps Chrome Black, you have loads of other products like Allen and Ginter Chrome, which actually have the Topps Chrome logo on them still. Here are the print runs, and this is a really ugly spreadsheet I copied and pasted into this video. I made a video on Topps Finest print runs, which is right here, and in that I'll say how I got these print runs and how I calculated it. But you can see in 2011, I started with 2011 because I'm very interested in that set because of Mike Trout. A gold refractor fell 1 in every 54 packs, and because of that, you can do some reverse math because there's only one format, and you can find out there's 13,500 total base cards according to gold refractors. If you do atomic refractors, which I believe are numbered to 10, it's 12,300, and super refractors it was 12,300, and so forth. The biggest variance you'll see is in 2012 between the gold and the other cards on the list, but after that it's pretty consistent. But right here on the right, you also will see how much they've increased. Right here is how much it increased year over year. So actually in 2012, they cut down print runs because the hobby wasn't super hot, and you'll see that's why there's actually less base cards. So a Bryce Harper Topps Finest rookie, there's only about 10 to 12,000 of those in existence, which is really rare in comparison to modern sports cards. And so that was a negative 11 to 13% drop in print runs. And then this over here in 2013, you can see they turned the printing press on and actually cranked it up 65-ish%, and it was up about 45-ish% from 2013, and so forth. You see some very interesting things happen with Topps Finest print runs. You can see in 2016, it hit the lowest point it's ever been because the hobby wasn't super hot and there weren't a lot of orders for Topps Finest at the time. So we actually can see the print runs were down 30% from the previous year and down 22% from 2011. So this is what this list means, and I actually recommend watching that video because it's a lot of really good information. But regardless, low print runs is a collector's best friend for a couple reasons. The first reason, you can get some really cool cards with some really good rookies that are more rare. The second thing is it's easier to pull parallels of more iconic parallels like the gold refractor, the blue refractor, all these type of things because there aren't as many base cards to dilute the product like there is in modern flagship products. So let's also look at the low number of parallels like I showed. You'll see in 2020 and before 2020, you had 8 parallels in Topps Finest, while in Topps Chrome you had 18 parallels. I also included Topps Chrome Ben Baller, Topps Chrome Sapphire because they all have the same image as one another, and there's 29 parallels of that image versus 8 parallels of the Topps Finest image. It's the base refractor, purple refractor, blue, green, gold, orange, red, super refractor. Fantastic lineup. I wish Topps stuck with that, but because you can see from this previous slide they did ramp up production pretty heavily in 2021, they had to introduce more parallels. So this is where it says historically, and it's kind of a bummer. You can see Topps Finest is still less parallels, and they're all numbered in comparison to Topps Chrome, which has a lot of unnumbered parallels like the Sepia, the X-Fractor, that are actually numbered a lot higher than any of these. But you can see there are some new parallels that aren't as cool. You have the purple agua vapor refractors. You have the rose gold mini diamond refractor. They're gorgeous cards, but they do dilute it a little bit. But anything pre-2021, this was not an issue at all. And you can see the same thing with 2022. There's still less parallels than Topps Chrome and Topps Chrome Baller, Sapphire, and the base Topps Chrome itself. So that's kind of another point of this video is the dilution of Topps Chrome. So you can see we have Stadium Club Chrome, we have Topps Chrome Black, Topps Chrome Allen and Ginter, base Topps Chrome, Sapphire, Ben Baller. This is a new one called Topps Gilded. It's essentially a new Topps Chrome Sapphire, it looks like to me. Not much information on the set, super high end, but it has a Topps Chrome logo, so I'm assuming it's very similar to Topps Chrome Sapphire. And then we have 2022 Topps Chrome Cosmic baseball, whatever that is. They actually look really cool, but it looks like a Topps Finest knockoff to me a little bit. But either way, there's kind of a dilution going on of sets. And that's why I want to focus on a product like Topps Chrome or even Bowman's Best, because it's a similar situation. Hobby only, one version of the card, and I think we should actually appreciate that more as collectors than what we currently do. So will Topps Finest make a comeback? Too many sets. There's too many sets in production. So probably not. You know, it's hard when there's so many sets out there. Probably 40 to 50 sets between Panini and Topps, maybe even more, who knows. But there's just so many sets that one individual set has a hard time getting recognition. Topps Chrome is king. I kind of said some negative things about it. I love Topps Chrome myself, but Topps Chrome is king, and because of that, people are going to pay attention to Topps Chrome and kind of ignore the little brother Topps Finest, which actually was born first, so it's technically the big brother, just not as accomplished. It is a hobby-only product, which is good and bad. It's a very common knowledge set to collectors who've been established in the hobby, but it's not very common to people who are more of a passive collector, which is great. I'm glad there's passive collectors in the hobby. They might not understand how important Topps Finest is, and because of that, it might never have the same draw as Topps Chrome. But one thing I will say that is on the horizon that gives me hope is the fact that basketball collectors will love Topps Finest. Topps Finest has such a big place for basketball collectors. You know, you have LeBron Topps Finest rookies, you have Kobe Bryant Topps Finest rookies. All these different sets, until Topps lost the licensing, are very important for the basketball card landscape. And we saw Topps actually make a Topps Finest basketball set this year for retired players and a few active. I think Cole Anthony was in there. But regardless, I think Topps Finest will get more popular in football and basketball, which might help baseball in a roundabout way. So the one thing I just want to say is there's a lot of sets out there. There's a lot of very expensive sets out there, and it's kind of confusing what to look for. I just want to have a pitch for Topps Finest as a set that's extremely undervalued in the history of the hobby and in current values, what people are actually paying for boxes, what they're paying for cards. Never saying to buy anything you're not comfortable buying or out of your budget, but I think it could be a set in the future that could reverse again. Who knows? We see that with Prism and Optic all the time. People debate it. I think Topps Finest should be debated a little bit more. Not saying it is Topps Chrome, not saying it will ever be Topps Chrome, but I think it should be debated because it does have such a big place in the hobby, and I think it's such an important product. Anyways, I love Topps Finest. I made the 2011 Topps Finest Refractor or better set because every refractor was numbered in that set, and it made me realize these are so good looking. Why just don't pay attention to them? So thanks for listening to my rant. Thanks for listening to my opinion. And other than that, I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.